You've probably heard mindfulness instructors asking you to bring awareness to the body. And it makes sense, because body sensations are largely happening in the now. So focusing on the body is a good way to avoid your mind being stuck in the past or the future. You also quickly notice that mindfulness practices focusing on the body sensations have a nice grounding and calming effect. But there are also a number of helpful effects that are less talked about, but they actually contribute greatly to our overall sense of happiness and well-being, even in the long run. In this video, I'm going to talk about them and explain how they work. I have already talked about how awareness of body sensations can radically improve your focus in meditation. You can watch this video later on, and I'll also add a link in the description below. It's a kind of a no-brainer that since we're usually caught up in our thoughts, exposed to so many external sensory stimuli which increase our dissatisfaction, that returning back to the level of body sensations makes us feel more satisfied and helps settle our focus. But the benefits of befriending your body sensations and developing a greater mental clarity with respect to what we feel physically go beyond that. We have evolved as a very complicated species. We have a complex array of emotions, much richer than other mammals. We create fantastic societies and habitats for ourselves with public playgrounds, high-speed internet connection, and great masterpieces of art that continue to move and inspire new and new generations. But on a biological level, we're also animals that want to pass forward our genetic material and not get eaten. Our fantastic and complex societies, as we know, have not just been a necessity for survival, but also have been a threat to survival at many points in history, and still nowadays in many places around the world. Anyway, survival is not enough. Even satisfying our basic needs is not enough for most people. We want to thrive and to flourish. And even though we have so many things promising happiness and joy to us, it looks like most of the time we are dissatisfied, frustrated, and not fulfilled. So how does it relate to the body awareness? The thing is that we carry a fantastic instrument with us that could help us understand our needs and desires much better, and also to understand the things we don't want and perhaps need to avoid or adjust in our life. You can easily feel what I'm talking about here. If you close your eyes, relax, and remember some really nice thing that you've done this week. Perhaps you played some sport with your friends, or maybe you listened to a new record, or you painted a picture, or hugged somebody dear. How does this experience and this memory you have of it feel in the body right now? It has a certain pattern. Things that feel good actually feel good in your body. As your body awareness develops with mindfulness practice, you can recognize these sensation patterns more easily. Of course, we do know how to interpret these positive body signals to our benefit unconsciously. We are driven to experience more pleasure, but the key here is subtle nuances. You know, the feeling you get when you're satisfying your hunger with some junk food, or mindlessly scrolling through social networks when you should be exercising. There is a craving there and a pleasure, but it's different from the feeling you get when you're going on a nice hike in a good company of friends, or are about to enjoy some very wholesome homemade breakfast that someone made for you. We recognize these subtle sensory signals from our bodies all the time, but most of the time they are left unnoticed beneath the hurry and the distraction of our hectic minds. And often when we do feel them, we ignore these signals because we had made a mental resolution that we don't need that thing. But what if the thing that brings us this subtle joy and the excitement in our body, what if that's the happiness that we all chase? Happiness is the little things. I was reading one of the popular introductions to mindfulness recently. It's a book by Michael Taft called The Mindful Geek. It's available for free, by the way. You can download the PDF from the website following the link in the description below. And this is how Michael Taft puts it. The problem for many of us is that when we hear someone say something like, "Follow your bliss," another Joseph Campbell quote, by the way, we operate under the assumption that the bliss is going to be huge, like some mixture of an orgasm, candy flipping, and a My Little Pony friendship is magic episode. Let there be joy and rainbow skittles squirting from every orifice. Good for you if going to work feels like that. And good luck getting anything done. But for most of us, the bliss Joseph Campbell is talking about is much less extreme than that. It's more like a slight warm, expansive feeling in the chest, a subtle glow around the smile, or a mild spring in the step. The sense that it feels good to do what you're doing. Maybe the sense that it matters. This really spoke to me. Most of my life I have been ignoring these feelings and glows and springs because there are usually more important and useful things to do, and generally it has done me a good service by helping with studying and working, but all work and no play, you know, right? Sometimes we may notice the wholesome things we're drawn to, or not necessarily even wholesome, you know, maybe silly and useless things, but anyway, things which correspond to our healthy needs, including our emotional, aesthetic, artistic needs. And we just skip these signals and skip these things. Or we bypass these urges thinking that we have no time for that now, because they're not on our to-do list. And then we wonder at the end of the day why we are so empty and tired and joyless. So we go for some less fulfilling and sophisticated pleasures, such as a whole pack of Oreo cookies. Learning to hear and listen to the signals of your body when it's telling you what might bring you more true enjoyment, develop you as a human being, and just make you more happy and joyful is very important and can be achieved with a little bit of mindfulness practice. And then, when we develop our connection to the body, we also develop greater clarity of sensations we experience, which helps us to guess what? To enjoy the pleasures that are available to us even more. Usually when we are enjoying something, there is this little sidekick of frustration and anxiety, sometimes even guilt. If you're eating a cake and you're eating it, so there's no way back, or there is, but let's not go into detail on that. So you can be eating that slice of cake and have a difficult relationship with it, thinking, "Oh no, I shouldn't be eating so much sugar and fat and carbs. I'm fat enough. I hate my body. I don't fit into my pants anymore. Why am I so weak? I must be a horrible person. I will never succeed in life. I'm a failure. But damn, it's so good. There's nothing I can do but eat the cake. It's the best thing on earth. But not as good as the cake I had here last time. They must have changed their master baker, or maybe saving up on some ingredients. This cake is not as chocolatey as the color leads you to believe. It just totally sucks. And oh fuck, it's ending, and I barely took a bite, and it's already over. Damn it, I want more of this. Should I order another slice? Or you could simply be enjoying the taste of the cake to the fullest as long as it lasts, and let it go when it ends. And then see how you feel about the place that carbs and sugar and fat occupy in your life, and whether you will feel better if you had them in moderation. Huh? You would ask, what about the negative? Wouldn't I also feel more negative stuff if I had more body awareness? And your intuition is right. You would also feel more negative stuff. But Hear me out. As you have probably noticed already, life sucks. There is a lot of unpleasant, unsatisfying, painful, below average experiences we encounter on a day-to-day basis. And this is the best deal you get because the alternative, death, is even less fun. Luckily, with modern level of comfort, scientific progress and medicine, we can radically cut down on suffering. But we cannot avoid it completely. So yes, as you progress in mindfulness of body sensations, you will start noticing also more negative things happening in the body, and also some not so pleasant feelings and emotions which are manifested through body sensations. When you open up to these emotion-related sensations, you also notice that you are actually feeling these emotions. And opening up to your emotions can be frightening, especially while our culture and our society mostly offer ways to avoid and numb them, such as distracting oneself with entertainment or work or blurring them with alcohol. But guess what? These are no ways of actually dealing with these unpleasant sensations and feelings. The pain and negative emotions don't go away when you resort to substances or run away from them into overworking. In fact, they could come back with double force. So noticing pain and negative states as they arise, as soon as they arise, and processing them actually makes the whole experience of having them much lighter. Especially while the type of awareness we cultivate in mindfulness practice is non-judgmental awareness, which means that as our sensitivity grows, so does our ability to tolerate and accept sensations as they are. You learn to not get stuck in them and amplify them by struggling against them. If this stuff sounds interesting to you, you may want to check out my 4-week online course, which starts off in April. It's in Zoom every Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Finnish time. The course is a short, low-threshold introduction to mindfulness based on MBSR. We'll be focusing especially on working with stress and difficult mind states through basic mindfulness techniques. The number of participants is limited, so hurry up. I'll put the link in the description below. Just like these pleasant sensations we talked about before, pain and negative states are also signals of your body, and they are there for a reason. I won't go into detail right now on working with negative emotions through mindfulness. I did in my other video, which is in the description below. But I will explain how becoming more attuned to the negative signals from your body can actually help you not just in dealing with the negative stuff, but also in having a better life. As an example, see if you can remember a situation when you had a bad inkling about something, like a gut feeling. Maybe you noticed that the person you were on a date with felt somehow unusual. There was a barely noticeable change in their nonverbal behavior, or you joined a project or a new workplace and something just wasn't right, even though everyone was being nice. Or you are meeting a new person and they want something from you, but there's just something about the way they talk and act that is a little bit off. And very often with these type of situations, when they turn out not so well, maybe the whole hell breaks loose, we later recall feeling that something was off, but we just relied on our logical judgment and proceeded with these situations. And maybe there was not much we could do in the first place except for prepare ourselves. These instances of intuition are very subtle emotional and mental reactions that usually stay under the radar of our conscious decision making. The thing is that our minds and our instincts are able to notice and process much more information that we are able to hold in our logical mind. And as your sensitivity and clarity to body sensations becomes stronger, you actually catch more of this very important data. And you learn to trust these instincts If it may save you from many unpleasant situations, you could decide to watch your back or keep distance with some people, or bring up an issue and resolve it with your friend or partner quickly before it escalates. Are these instinctive reactions always true and accurate? No, of course not. Sometimes we can feel negative about someone or something, but not for a good reason. It might be that we had an unfortunate experience once with some activity and now we are overly cautious against everything similar, even though we know that it's actually quite safe and we could enjoy it. It gets even worse with people because all people have their biases and prejudices, especially towards people who appear dissimilar, unusual, or maybe potentially threatening to us. One study showed, for example, that university students heard a foreign accent and did worse at lecture comprehension task when the lecture recording was accompanied by a picture of a Japanese woman compared to when they saw a picture of a white woman, even though it was exactly the same lecture recording. We all have biases, and to some extent biases are natural because they have helped us survive throughout so many thousands of years, but they are logical fallacies and misjudgments because people are not average representatives of their groups. People are themselves. So it is also true that you can feel disproportionately negative about someone if they are dissimilar from you, if they remind you of someone you had a bad experience with, or maybe if you're feeling subconsciously intimidated by their being better at you at something important. And here mindfulness also comes in handy, because when this data of physical sensations comes into your mind, you can much better distinguish not just whether it's a positive or negative thing, but also the subtle causal connections. You can do a quick data analysis when you feel that somebody or something is off, and you will easily see whether it's about the situation or the person you're encountering, or whether your mind is just, say, playing tricks on you. And based on that, you can choose the best strategy on how to deal with it. Also, gaining clarity about negative feelings through observing body sensations can help you prioritize things in your life. Very often we do things because we feel like we ought to, or because we decided that we should. But sometimes these things may no longer serve us or not give us what we need, and it's okay to let them go. The same with commitments that we take on. We may feel gently pressured into something. Maybe somebody invited us to do some volunteer thing that we, however, are not completely eager to do. And we could be inclined to say yes because we just don't want to turn it down and we don't see why not. But deep inside we feel that we are not ready and not willing. Catching these subtle resistance early rather than late can help you stay away from commitments and things that you would anyway not be able to keep and might have a hard time quitting later on. The best formal practice for developing a greater body awareness and a sensory clarity is body scan. A lucky coincidence is that this practice is also quite low threshold, it's quite easy and enjoyable, and it often has a relaxing effect on the mind and the body. There is plenty of good quality body scan recordings available, and you can start training with one of them and see if you can ditch the recording and do the body scan on your own with a timer, so that you can really go deeply into the sensations in silence. Do it today and start a better life. You can totally do it. And remember to like, subscribe and push that bell button, and don't miss the future good tips on mindfulness. Bye bye!